A small aircraft, acquired with quality-related funding, is helping scientists at the University of Edinburgh to understand more about the relationship between the atmosphere and the land. The two-seater motor glider, which weighs just less than 1 tonne, is equipped with a range of sensory equipment. The 60-metre wingspan plane is used by a team of scientists, normally flying in pairs during the daytime at altitudes of up to 10,000 feet. The aircraft can be used to produce images of the land, help map the landscape surface, and monitor the colour of vegetation. Instruments on board can also monitor how heat, water, and greenhouse gases move between the land and the air. Through the use of the aircraft, scientists at Edinburgh now have a valuable insight into the interaction between land and atmosphere. This would have been impossible to achieve without quality-related funding.
Welcome to the Human Performance Laboratory at Glasgow Caledonian University. Quality-related funding from the higher education funding bodies has allowed us to establish world-class human performance laboratory facilities. Our focus here at Glasgow Caledonian University is on musculoskeletal rehabilitation, and our overall objectives in our research is to study the relationship between common conditions such as arthritis and how that leads to impairments such as pain, stiffness and deformity, and how that's related to loss of quality of life and disability. QR funding has allowed us to develop world-class laboratory facilities where we've invested in significant new pieces of equipment. This includes motion capture cameras, sensing technology to measure force and pressure, electromyography to study muscle function, and imaging to look at disease processes in joints and soft tissues. So what have been the benefits of QR to our research activity here in the Human Performance Lab? Firstly, we've been able to develop new and exciting projects. Projects which are at the cutting edge of knowledge. Our new facilities match other laboratory facilities around the world, and this has enabled us to join up in collaborative projects, but also to lead new and innovative projects in multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary areas. Secondly, we've been able to increase threefold the number of early to mid-career researchers working in the laboratory and undertaking world-class research. And thirdly, we can directly link new laboratory research to direct benefits to patients. We're now starting to translate knowledge acquired in this laboratory to the development and testing of new and innovative treatments, all the way from medical devices through to complete rehabilitation programs. The project is called A-Footprint. A-Footprint teams up with small and medium-sized enterprises across Europe to develop new and innovative medical devices in the area of prosthetics and orthotics. This is an exciting project which we would have not been able to contribute to or lead without QR funding.
My name's Mark Cleesby and I'm a research fellow at the Royal Veterinary College, currently establishing a group studying the molecular and physiological defects underlying diabetes. In particular, I'm interested in how key tissues such as skeletal muscle become resistant to the action of the hormone insulin, and this insulin resistance is an essential prerequisite for the development of type 2 diabetes in humans, but also probably in other species such as the domestic cat. I took up my position here at the RVC in 2007, having spent 5 years as a postdoc in a leading diabetes laboratory in Australia. And my initial contract here consisted of 2 years' salary and laboratory startup funding provided in large part through QR funding. Now, this bridging fund then allowed me time to start setting up the laboratory and also to gather preliminary data to go on and make full grant applications to research funding bodies. And indeed, this ultimately turned out to be a successful strategy, as I was lucky enough to be awarded a Wellcome Trust University Award early in 2009. So the QR funding then proved to be an essential link in my transition from a postdoctoral position overseas to becoming an independent researcher back in the UK. Now, insulin resistance is highly associated with the development of obesity, which has obviously now reached epidemic proportions in the human population, as people are no doubt aware. However, what might be less widely appreciated is that dogs and cats also suffer from diabetes quite commonly, and it seems that in cats this may also be related to obesity. Now, in the longer term, my location at the RVC will permit me to develop a comparative medicine approach to try and understand more about diabetes in both humans and domestic species, hopefully leading then to the validation of therapeutic targets in both.
My name is Dr. Aisha Gill. I'm a Senior Lecturer in Criminology at Roehampton University. My current research interests are examining the nature and prevalence of violence against women in minority communities in the UK. That involves looking at, for example, recent legislative responses to forced marriage, so-called honour killings, child contact issues in relation to post-separation violence, and more importantly, examining the murder of women in different communities and how government policy has been used to bring about change. My research has been instrumental in terms of public policy debates with regards to violence against women and criminal justice responses. QR funding has been instrumental in enabling me to carry out my research in an environment where there is a increased emphasis on working within communities around addressing social justice and inequalities. And without this funding, I don't think I'll be able to make the changes that I am able to make in terms of working with key criminal justice professionals, actors and the community more widely in terms of taking these debates around violence against women forward and also providing strategic solutions to how violence against women can be reduced in minority communities.
The main aim of my research is to look at the experiences of people with mental health problems who come into police custody. The initial report I did was for Greater Manchester Police. The scheme enabled me to get started and look at a particular area, so it was very helpful in that way. Also, the scheme provided me with mentoring support from experienced members of staff here.
The primary issues that older lesbians, gay men, bisexuals and transgendered people experience in care settings is the acknowledgement of their sexuality, the acknowledgement of life experiences which are different to other older people. The VC Early Career Research Scholarship was vital in this process because we had the ideas, we had the contacts.
So by placing this sort of inquiry in the university, you're getting access to knowledge that is shorn from the assumptions and prejudices of behaviour which are creating a major social problem and really informing policy in a careful and systematic way. And again, it shows the value of the block grant approach to research funding. Britain is very conscious, I think, of a lead position in world research in higher education that really needs to be maintained and advanced.
So UCL has research excellence across the entire spectrum of our academic activities, and one of our objectives is to make the best of that by bringing people together in greater collaborations. So UCL has used its QR funding to employ 3 school research facilitators whose job is to work with our academic colleagues to create research proposals and to facilitate their research activities. So part of their activities is to identify research funding initiatives and then to bring together the appropriate teams of academics across UCL to come up with the best way of presenting UCL's research excellence to the research funders. So interestingly, UCL was the most successful institution in 2008-09 in obtaining research grants from the research councils, and the school research facilitators certainly played an important role in that achievement.